Okay, dopamine detox. Haven't we all heard it? Haven't we all had this video recommended to us? That, oh, you need to cut out all social media, all junk food, all everything, YouTube, TV, for about a week, 2 weeks, to just reset your dopamine levels. That way, they say, you can enjoy work a lot more. Because right now, the only thing you will get enjoyment out of is from those apps on social media, watching those TV shows. Okay, so dopamine is released during enjoyable activities, so that we feel pleasure, we feel good. And that's good, you may think, like, oh, it sounds nice. The problem is that the more we do these things that induce dopamine, the harder it's gonna be to do the harder tasks, like working. That won't feel anywhere near as pleasant any longer. Because when we keep coming back to social media to get these dopamine hits, we need more and more and more of it because we don't feel good about doing everyday tasks. So by having this dopamine detox, the thing is that we can reset these levels so that all of a sudden we will not only get pleasure from social media and TV, we'll now be able to walk outside and just look at the trees around us, look at the blue sky, and just enjoy it and get more pleasure out of that. So about last year in March, I think, or May, I decided, this sounds kind of nice. Like, I am kind of addicted to social media, so I need to reset those levels. I need to get back on the right track. I want to be able to enjoy the simple things in life. I want to be able to feel that the work I do it just feels good. And it's also a way of making it so that you are less distracted when you do the things you need to do, such as working. You won't all the time have this flickering attention. Oh, I need to take out my phone and just scroll on social media for a while. I need to watch these TikToks. It's a way of combating that. So knowing this, I went into my first ever dopamine detox. 1 week, 7 days, no social media, no YouTube, because that's a huge one. A lot of people think, oh, I'm gonna cut out social media. And then they continue to watch YouTube. But no social media, no YouTube. The only screen I had access to was my computer at which I worked on. So I'd cut out everything on that. I blocked YouTube and such. So I went in trying to do hard work while just detoxing from this dopamine. The first day went well because, hey, first days are always going to go well when you do these sort of things. You have a lot of motivation, like oh, I'm gonna detox my dopamine. It's gonna feel great. I really need to do this. So the motivation is there. But as the days went on, so began the battle. The fight against my inner self. Because I realized afterwards that what I had been doing for so many years was just my inner demons, the darker sides that had been dwelling inside of my mind. I had been suppressing that by using social media, by playing video games, by watching TV. So now that I didn't have that any longer, that came up to the surface. And that started to disturb me on an everyday basis, and also during the night. During this week, I woke up 2 times and just screamed because I had so many horrible nightmares. And during the day, I felt so sad. Because what happened was I got a lot more time to think. Because that's another thing that happens when we have social media, that we constantly get influenced by stuff. We read this, we read that. Our brain is not so much filled with our own thoughts, but filled with the thoughts of others, filled with news and all these sorts of things that don't really matter that much, but they keep taking up space in our brain that blocks our own thoughts and our own mind. But now I was alone with these thoughts. There was no escape. I had to let them keep coming up. And it was hard. But in some way, it was also beautiful. It was also poetic in some way, I think is a better word. Because throughout that week, I kept getting memories of things that I had forgotten. Past experiences throughout my years in school. People that I've been friends with, that I hadn't been thinking about for years, suddenly popped up into my mind. I thought about moments when I was struggling, moments when I was 7 years old and I didn't get treated that well by this person. Or back when this tragic thing happened and I didn't do anything. When I saw someone get bullied, yet I didn't do anything. I saw so many moments when I disappointed my parents. I saw so many opportunities that had been given throughout the years, yet turned down because I was too afraid. I wanted comfort. I got all of this coming up into my mind. And I'm almost getting goosebumps thinking about this right now and talking about it, because just so many things, so many core memories in some way that I got to re-experience. Throughout the day, these things popped up, and during the night, I had these things happen to me in the dreams, connecting me back to my past in some way. I saw the person I was, what I'd become, my behavior in all these certain situations. And I saw where that came from. I saw the moments where something influenced me in a way that now impacted me, and it turned me out into having this specific demeanor. It was very scary. I felt, this feeling of nostalgia. I felt so much nostalgia for my own life. Like looking back, I felt old. I felt as though I was 9 years old, perhaps. Looking back at my life when I was young, when I experienced things. That's how I felt. Or perhaps like how it feels watching a movie or TV show. You've been following a character for a very long time, and eventually you see how the character's life ends. You see them getting old, and you get this tremendous feeling of, wow, I got to experience all of that. When you've been following a character for so long, through so many seasons of this TV show, and then when you're done with this series, you just get filled with all this emotion, looking back at everything you got to experience, everything you saw. I don't know, I felt almost semi-depressed. I think a mistake I made when doing this dopamine detox, and the thing that you can take with you if you're gonna do one yourself, is that you gotta find ways to fill up your time. Because social media, computers, everything like this, it takes a lot of time from our day. We not feel like that. We scroll for a few minutes, then we do something else, then we're back on our phone. That adds up to a lot of time during the day. And we need to fill out that time with something else. Because the mistake I made was I just cut everything all out. But I didn't go out in nature that much. I didn't do any fun activities. I was just sticking around in my apartment alone. So I literally had no escape from these inner demons. I didn't see people, I didn't talk to people, I just was alone in my thoughts, and those drained me of the energy during the day. And I thought I would be able to be productive. Like, finally I'm cutting out these distractions, I can do the work I need to do now. But I was almost paralyzed by everything that was happening inside of here. And I also plan to enter a so-called monk mode afterwards. So that's when you cut out some things and you hyper focus on work, because that's apparently much, much easier to enter after you've done a dopamine detox. Because then with a dopamine detox, you make working more enjoyable, and then you can enter a longer period of work for, let's say, 3 weeks and get more stuff done. But what happened sadly was that during this time, during this week, I got so attacked by these inner demons constantly that I started to build up a craving as the days went by of just getting back into the digital world, of just escaping. So by the time I think I started on a Monday and ended on a Sunday. So the next Monday I was back. I'd been planning to get into working mode, but what happened was that this snapback effect, this rubber band effect happened. So I hadn't been into social media or anything for an entire week, and it felt great at the end of it. But because of that, and because of the desire I had built up during the week of getting back into that, just snapped back and got into an overindulgence of social media and all these things. So the Monday, the day after my dopamine detox was finished, I had ended up downloading TikTok again, which I hadn't had at that point for many months. But suddenly I was back on TikTok, and I had like 5 hours on that app, and I watched like several hours on YouTube, and I didn't have a productive day at all. I was just on social media, just trying to escape all the demons that had hunted me for a week. So this dopamine detox ended up being very counterproductive in many ways. I thought I would come out on the other end as a much stronger person, being able to do much more work. But I came out with a week of nightmares, a week of almost depression-like state. And I can tell you, if this dopamine detox had been any longer than that, had it been 2 weeks or a month, I would have entered depression. I'm pretty sure about that, because it was so hard on me. Not to self-pity though, because I'm still thankful for the experience. I am. I got to see a lot of things from my past that I hadn't been thinking about. I hadn't, quite frankly, remembered. But now all of a sudden that came back to me. Like, I got a lot of memories. Like, I was sad. I cried several times during that week, I believe. And I never cry. But I saw so many beautiful memories of relatives or past friends, experiences I had. Such a nostalgic feeling, such a sad feeling. You know, these movies that make you feel sad, but just it feels good at the same time. That's kind of how it felt. I think if you were to do a dopamine detox, and if I am going to do another one, we really have to plan this out and make sure that we have stuff to do. Okay, if I cut out all my social media and everything else that induces dopamine, I need to have something to replace that with. Because otherwise, I may just have to battle myself for a week or however long you're gonna do this for. I do think though ultimately that it was a good experience. It was something very interesting to do. And I got so many past memories and experiences to just re-enter my mind. But quite frankly, despite the bad experience, I wouldn't have wanted to not do this. But I do think that if you just structure this well, if you plan this out perfectly, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is exactly what I'm gonna cut out, and then in some way you need to, I think in some way you need to have fun during this week. You need to do stuff so that you feel that it's not a long wait. You're not waiting for the floodgates to open for you to download TikTok again like I did. But rather you make sure that you do fun things so you feel, hey, this was great. It was a great experience. It felt so refreshing to be without my phone. And that's what we can then take with us. So if you are entering a dopamine detox yourself, good luck with that. I think it's absolutely worth it. And I'll see you again, my friend.